Well, good morning and welcome to the Rewind. Hashtag, I don't know if it's 37 or 38, but it doesn't matter because we like doing them every Thursday morning, round about this time, just after 10 o'clock. Myself, Steve Brown, and over there at the sports bar is Brent Peters. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Good morning. Deja vu.
Deja vu.
Deja vu. 2 Thursdays running. Absolute pristine weather here at Boro. Blue skies, you think you're in sunny Spain. In fact, Simon's here with his flip-flops on. He thinks he is in Spain.
Hey, that was a brilliant, what we call in the radio game, was a fantastic segue. That was great how you just brought that in.
There you go. I'm learning.
You're learning all the time. Years and years of experience of the Peter Brent Roadshow.
Correct. He hasn't even had an invite, Peter Brent, yet on that radio show we've got. I know I can't understand that one yet, but that's for another day.
It's got I think the radio station, the station manager said that Peter Brent's good. He's had a look at his CV, but he's a bit rusty because we've now gone from 45s to CDs to now downloads. So he needs some training.
But I need plenty of training. What about 78s?
Because I also on that CV it says at the time when Peter Brent was on the road shows of Rosendale, Little Brown Jug was number 1 in the charts.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Glenn Miller was flying high, and then was never seen again.
Listen, one of the favourite records that used to get all the round of applause were Vera Lynn, We'll Meet Again. Listen.
Well, yeah, that is true.
There you go.
But while we're on that subject, I know this answer already, but the listeners don't. What did you always use to finish your gigs off with, Brent? What was the floor filler that got everyone up dancing just to, the grand finale at the end of the night?
Jimmy Radcliffe, Long After Tonight's All Over.
Yeah. That was a bit of was that a Northern Soul classic?
Yeah, it were, yeah.
Yeah.
Quality.
Wigan Casino and the Blackpool Mecca.
Yeah. Rose Room in Berkeley as well.
Where is that? Or where was that?
Rose Room on the side of the Mecca. So obviously the bingo hall now in Burnley, right in the centre. Gala bingo. Is it Gala bingo? I don't know what it is, but
it's changed. But yeah, it's where the old Cat's Whiskers used to be.
Yeah, so that was the kind of the Mecca. Cat's Whiskers were on the side. So you went upstairs.
Yeah, and then it became Annabella's.
Correct.
Those were the days when you wipe your feet on the way out rather than on the way in.
That's the one.
Anyway, let's get down to serious matters. The usual chewing the fat and talking the balls on a Thursday morning. Plenty to talk about. A lot of positives to take over the last 7 days. We've got a few things to talk about, a few things that were mentioned on social media, but we'll get round to that. We won't dwell on it too much. But what did you make of the game and the occasion against Bury AFC?
Well, I mean, let me first of all start by saying I've got to give massive congratulations to Andy Welsh and Bury AFC because
definitely,
as you know, 12 months ago, just over 12 months ago, they were not in existence. Basically, they had to build an infrastructure and try and build a club. Trying to give the people of Bury football that they could go to on a Saturday after what had happened to Bury FC. And it's not easy. People who are out there, they can take knocks and you can give them knocks or anything, but they don't deserve any knocks because I've witnessed it twice now when we played them away. And it was early on in the season when we played them away. So they were only kind of, 3 matches into a new season when we played them, or even probably 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Not many. And the organisation and everything that they put into place to accommodate the big, large numbers of followers that they were going to attract, and they did attract, and have attracted. You know, the organisation, the way that they handled everything, it's not easy, but they made it look easy. You know, they did an absolute fantastic job. That's credit to all the people that's behind the club, not the media, what they're all following and supporting with Andy Welsh and his lads. That's the people behind the scenes. You know, there's a lot of organisation, as you well know, what we've had to do to come into the game here at the Brian Boyce Stadium. Now, they'd done a fantastic job. You know, I said it even back then. You know, we're brilliant. You know, everything about the occasion down there at Radcliffe. You know, the way that they were handling everything, where everything were handled. They had everything. They had all the boxes ticked, and I've got to give them some mounting credit for that. And equally, you know, all through the season, going now onto the football side of things, all through the season where they've had these numbers following them home and away, I've got to give credit to the Bury faithful that's watched them, because unlike what's happened with another promoted club that's carrying a big name, there has been a few issues with their side of things, but there hasn't with Bury AFC, and I think they deserve credit for that as well, because the fans that's followed them all over, there really hasn't been any issues. There's been no trouble. No. You know, I mean, listen, when here on Saturday, we had no hesitation. Yeah, we had no hesitation of making it not making it a ticket match. There was no segregation. Everybody was mixing. You know, there was a bit of banter. In fact, there was a lot of banter, but there was no issues, and there's been no issues along the way. And they've probably 2 games left, and I would hope, and you know, I mean, one's at home, so I can't see there being any issues with that one. And I just hope that there is definitely no issues at the Golka one, which is the last match of the season for them. But there hasn't been, and the fans have been a credit to them, you know, where they've gone in large numbers and they've behaved themselves. I think there's just been an isolated situation where there might have been the odd flare been let off.
Yeah.
But other than that, everything's been as good as gold. And so they deserve a lot of credit for that as well, you know, because it's never easy to control, you know, vast amounts of support, you know, but it has been, and it's been well managed and well policed. And then you come to the team on the park. Listen, I've been in football. I keep saying it, you know, we all know that I've been around football a long time, and for a team any team, whoever it is, at whatever competition it is, to stay at the top of the league virtually for a full season and have that pressure on you is an achievement in itself.
Yeah,
you know, it's
because there is a pressure, isn't there, Brent? Playing for a team like Bury AFC, there will be a pressure on them players.
Well, there will 100%. There'll be a pressure, but also there's a pressure. There'll also be a pressure with any team that's at the top of the league. I mean, I think if you go back on record of listening to what I said right at the start of the season, I wanted our lads. I didn't want our lads to be at the top of the league. I wanted them to be there or in touching distance, so that they could, you know, when it comes to the business end of the season, we were kind of in a situation where we could influence things, and for ourselves, you know, where we could influence things, because when you're at the top, every game gives you added pressure. Yeah. And Bury have been at the top virtually from certainly from when the
week 3 or 4, yeah,
week 3 or 4, they've been there, and that takes some doing. And you've got to give Andy and his team lots and lots and lots of credit for that. And I'm not one of these that I saw it over the weekend on social media where they're going, well, they can afford to pay people this money and that money. Listen, cut that out, please, because we don't fully understand. We don't know. I go back, and my partner here, Simon, sat at side of me. In 1993, I took over at Rosendale United just after they'd had a relegation from the Evo stick. We had a clear out. Me and Simon took over. Simon was my assistant, and Rowan's dad were, as you know, Wayne Howarth. He was my captain. And I decided we cleared everything out at Rosendale and we rebuilt. And I remember in 1993, I rebuilt and I were bringing some former Football League players in. Like Barry Siddall was my goalkeeper. And if you look back on the career of Barry Siddall, he got something like 700-800 Football League games at varying clubs.
Blackpool, Manchester City, just to name a few.
Yeah, exactly. So he was in. Then I brought in Peter Coyne, ex-Manchester United. He actually went to Swindon Town with Lou Macari when Lou Macari got the manager's job at Swindon Town. And then he had a bit of a spell up for Chalky White up at Corn Dynamos. Wasn't happy there. And I got him at Glossop when I were at Glossop, but I then took him to Rosendale United with us. So, these were high-profile, kind of big names. And then one of my biggest signings was Colin Methven. Now, anybody who knows, Colin Methven was a 6'4" centre-back. And in the playoffs, he actually was at Walsall in the May, and he actually played at Wembley. If you look back, roundabout, so that'd be 92, 93. So if you look back in the archives towards end of 92, 93, Walsall were in one of the playoffs finals, and he actually played in that playoff final at Wembley. But he was coming to the end of his career. He had dodgy knees. He'd had a good, distinguished career, and his contract wasn't going to get renewed, and he lived on the Foul Coast. And this is what happens in non-league football. He was close to Big Barry Siddall, who was our goalkeeper. So Barry tipped me off that, when it come to August, back end of August, he tipped me off that Colin Methven wasn't doing anything apart from coaching. I think he'd gone into coaching at Blackpool Football Club at the time because he lived on the Foul Coast. So I sat down with Colin, and basically, in a nutshell, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, it's all about being honest and upfront with people. And I told him straight, I said, listen, we Rosendale United haven't got a pot to pee in, right? Yeah. Financially, we have no money. We have a bit of expenses, but we can't pay a lot of expenses. And I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I could try and, because of my honesty, I can get Rolls Royce players for mini minor money. So basically, I kind of was as open and honest as I could be with him. Sat down with him. End of the day, he decided. He spoke to Barry, and he decided, listen, it's not about the money. I've had a good innings. Yeah. I've done well. I'm going to come and play for you. You wouldn't believe, once I signed him, the euphoria that created throughout the non-league fraternity around East Lancashire. Rosendale United are paying massive money. They must be. Colin Methven were on this money at there, and they were on that money there, and they were on. And I couldn't believe the absolute verbal diarrhea I was listening to, because that's all it was. It was completely verbal diarrhea, because he wasn't on this money that everybody was making up. So when I see that, when I listen and see things about the Bury contingent, that they're paying this money and that money and that money, I'm not privy to what money they're paying, but half of the figures that are being bandied about, I just wouldn't listen to, because there'll be no substance at back of it.
And at the end of the day, Brent, it's none of our business.
Well, exactly. It's none of our business. I mean, at the end of the day, they good on them. If they can pay, if I can only afford to pay player expenses of £50, and they could pay a player's expenses of £250, and he's going to get him promotion, well, good luck to him. That's life, isn't it? That's just the way it is.
Exactly.
But you know what? Coming back to it, Bury, I think, away from Saturday, let's take it as a group and all season. They've been fantastic. They've done really, really well, and it's not easy from a football perspective. And what it draws to them, clubs like that, it always draws envy, right? People will be envy of them, but they shouldn't be envy. I mean, at the end of the day, they are what they are. There's a lot down in Bury, as we know, and we've been copied in, unfortunately, because we've played them latest club. there's been a lot of, and we've been kind of tagged in on social media.
We're seeing a lot of the comments that are coming in.
Yeah, exactly. And what's been happening, it's obvious it's toxic down in Bury because there's a split divide. But do you know what? Seriously, who I blame for a lot of what's going on down in Bury?
Go on.
I blame the FA. 100% I blame the FA. And the reason why I'm saying that I blame the FA is this. Let's just cut away from the chase here. You've got a situation where it's like trying to tell, when it settles down, when Bury FC start playing again at Gig Lane, right, people of Bury and surrounding areas will make their decision whether they want to go to watch Bury FC, and they will make a decision whether they want to go and watch Bury AFC. Yeah. Surely, at this stage, that is their prerogative. There should be I shouldn't tell you that you shouldn't support Burnley. I shouldn't tell my trusted mate here he shouldn't support Burnley. That's up to you. If you want to go and support Burnley, you go and support Burnley. If Simon wants to go and support Burnley, he goes and supports Burnley. I've made the choice to go and follow Manchester United. That's our choices. So the point is, what I'm trying to come across here, right? It's like trying to say to Manchester City fans, don't go and support Man City, go and support Man United. And then it's like Man United fans turning around and say, don't support Man United, go and support Man City.
So why then, Brent, why are you directing this towards the FA then? Why do you think they should take responsibility?
I'll tell you exactly why. Because what the FA have done, as they always do, to suit their own needs, they've moved the law, the rules of what was in place, right? They've kind of manipulated them a little bit, moved them, and created a situation that they should not have created. And I think they've got to take some responsibility here, because it's always been set in stone that if you're a club that is still alive and kicking, in other words, you've not gone into receivership, you've not gone into administration, right? That club is still a club. Bury never got, let's get one thing straight here, Bury FC never got wound up. Everybody thought they were going to get wound up. But that's what the press were implying, the TV, the media, everybody was implying that they were going to get wound up, right? But they didn't get wound up. As you know, it's not happened. They've not got wound up. So that company has still been a live company.
Yeah.
Now, in normal rules and regulations, because that company is a live company, they've not been wound up. So there was a ruling with the FA that a club that hasn't been wound up, that is still operational, and they go out of the Football League, they should be able to come in at the highest possible level that they can do, because they've never been wound up, right? In terms of Macclesfield, that was a different scenario, because Macclesfield did get wound up. So Macclesfield is a complete new club.
Yeah, is that had to start from the beginning again. Yeah.
Correct. That has to start from the beginning. In case of Bury, in reality, they didn't need to stay down, still don't, in my eyes, don't need to start at the beginning. If they're back up and running as a football club, then they should be able to come in at the highest level available in the National League system. So if I were a betting man, they should really be coming in at Conference National, personally, right? Now then, because of COVID, and this is where it starts to get damaging a little bit, because of the COVID situation, and because of the political situation down at Bury FC, whereby they hadn't got their act together in terms of who were going to get hold of Gig Lane and everything else, all the legalities. They couldn't make the deadlines, because as everybody knows, there is deadlines to reapply for the new season. And if you miss those deadlines, you miss the boat. It's as simple as that. You miss the boat. So they couldn't really get all their house in order when the deadlines were there, ready to go into the new season. So basically, and COVID, for 2 years, there hasn't been any football. Bury FC have not played any football at all. Not even in a group of lads going under the name of Bury FC in a local amateur league or Sunday league. That's not happened. So what the FA have basically said now is, "Oh, I'm sorry." Basically, it can't happen. What's happening is that Bury FC haven't played for 2 years, so technically they've got to be classed as a new club. Now, at this point, if I was anything to do with Bury FC, I would get the best legal team that I could afford to get, and they'd be able to afford it. I'd get the best barristers, and I'd challenge that, because they've moved the goalpost. And what they're trying to do, and this is where there becomes a now problem, because let's be honest, Bury FC and Bury AFC are two separate operations.
Yeah.
Why would you want to bring, I know that for the best of Bury, you might want to do, but it's like turning around and saying in Manchester, why would you bring Manchester City and Man United together? You never bring them together because there's a divide. There's a conflict. City hate United, United hate City.
But that's been there for a century. That's been there for a century.
But what they're doing now, the FA, because of this thing, what they've actually said is they've tried to get Bury AFC, because they're established now, and tried to get them to kind of amalgamate in some way so Bury FC and them come together.
Which really it's all about making it easier for the FA to...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm trying to get at. So they're trying to make them come together as one and say, basically, go and play at Gig Lane. So they haven't got a home, haven't Bury AFC. Go and play at Gig Lane. And then after 2 years, you've got your team back, and then change the name again. Now, for me, that is just the FA being the FA, making it easy for them and moving the goalposts just to suit themselves. And I think that what that's done again, it's made things even more toxic, because you're always going to have an element of people in both camps that will try to make something like that happen because they might feel that, well, there's some mileage in this.
Yeah.
But you'll also have an element of people where there'll be a bit of hatred, and you'll go, we hate Bury AFC. So and it's then people where and there's then people where there's that hatred, where there's clashes, and there's this poison that's flying all over social media. Now, it's a shame is that situation. It really is a shame. But I don't think the FA has helped matters, because personally, I think if the FA had kept to what should be happening, that Bury FC, let's take it this way, that Bury FC come back into the National League system as Bury FC, all of a sudden, Bury Town community have got two football clubs. They've got Bury AFC playing at one side of the town. They've got Bury FC playing on another side of the town.
Where people then have the choice. Then have the choice.
Correct. They have their own choice. There's no good getting bitter over it. They have their own choice. Where are they going to go left, or are they going to go right?
Yeah.
And it's up to them. So I on this instance, I'm absolutely don't think the FA are helping matters one iota. Yeah. One iota. That's my personal opinion.
But as you were saying previously, though, Brent, it was interesting that, like you said, if they do have the best barristers in the land and the best lawyers, and they were to challenge that, they probably have a very good case.
I think they would. I really do. I really do. I really think they do. Now, all right, some Bury AFC fans will listen to this and won't like what I'm saying. Well, I don't know why they won't like, because it's only like it even in the Rosendale Valley. It's only like what used to be. It's only like in the Rosendale Valley, the two most senior clubs in Rosendale was Rosendale United and Bacup Borough. Yeah. There's no difference. It's this, but Rosendale United's affairs had nothing to do with Bacup Borough, and Bacup Borough's affairs had nothing to do with Rosendale United.
Yeah, but seeing football back at Gig Lane is what every person in Bury or every Bury supporter should want.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. But listen, Steve, I'm not here to get involved in the politics of that down there, and I'm not siding with any of them. Let's be honest. I've had, connections with Bury FC, and, they're a club seeing that Bury FC back at Gig Lane and what's going on at Gig Lane is fantastic, and credit to those people as well for making that happen. That is fantastic. Equally, I've got to give lots of bouquets out to the people of Bury AFC, because they've tried to do something, not against Bury FC. They've tried to do something positive for the town, and they've done that. They've done that. What's been going on at Bury FC has no effect on Bury AFC, because Bury FC wasn't in operation. But Bury AFC and the people involved with Bury AFC and the team have done amazingly well and fantastic. And to actually win, which they haven't mathematically aren't there yet, but they will be. There's no two ways about it. I've got to give them. It's fantastic what they've done. And we come back to this brings us to and I kind of like that guy who. I know he had a bit of a dig at me or so, but light-hearted, and I liked it because he, last week on the show, which I've got to stick up for my own club, I actually ended the show where I said, if my lads, or our lads, turn up on the day, they go about the jobs, they're fully focused, we'll have enough to beat Bury AFC, and obviously. When you say stuff like that and it goes against
you got to be careful, because they're going to come straight back at you.
So he put something on. But listen, I ain't got a problem with that, because let me tell you, I listened to that interview, what he did with you, that Johnny, what's he called, Bass.
Yeah,
Johnny Bass. Let me tell you, and I've seen his work on social media. He's fantastic. That guy, it's no wonder they're credited for this, credited for that, credited for the other. He's fantastic. And I heard this morning, and really upsets me stuff like this, that he's been caught in this crossfire of Bury FC and Bury AFC, where they're giving him a bit of grief on social media. He doesn't need it. Why is he getting that grief on social media? He's working for Bury. Listen,
for free.
I'll be honest, for free. He's working for Bury AFC. He's done an absolute fantastic job within the media side of things.
Yeah, they've got a great team. They've got a great team of media guys.
And he's done fantastic. Now, if Bury FC comes back on the scene, and the Bury AFC people might not like me saying this, but you know what? If I were involved with Bury FC, I'd be going head hunting him.
Correct.
Definitely. Because he's fantastic.
And I'll take rest of him.
He's fantastic. And he doesn't need the crap that he's getting at minute in this crossfire. Why does he need that? He's working for a club. He's backing that club, and so he's doing the right thing. And is this not football in general? How many times? I mean, one name that springs to my mind now: Brian Kidd was a stalwart, a player at Manchester United, but he's gone over and moved over the city to Manchester City.
Well, yeah, it
happens in football.
Professional. He's got a job to do.
Correct. So, So I think there's a lot of.
While we talk about, go on, Brent.
I just think that everything about the setup and everything about Bury AFC has been, and here on Saturday, what really impressed me. And it really, really did impress me. The two strikers, Tom Greaves and Ben Wharton. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure just to watch.
Yeah.
Two really, really good technicians.
Experienced
guys in operation. And you know what? I've got to give Gareth Wager and Joy Fallon, particularly Joy Fallon, because Joy's younger than Gareth and not got the same experience as Gareth, and obviously Joy's learning along the way. But I thought both of them really did a really good job, as good a job as they could do. I mean, there's things you can always learn on. We always have to improve. Everybody has to improve, but they did a really good job on two fantastic, and I mean fantastic, strikers. They were brilliant. The movement, the link-up play, they knew where each other were. They knew each other's run. It were reminiscent of I go back to '93 when me and Simon and Wayne at Rosendale United, we had Brian Welsh and Darren Emmett, You know, two lads that have been around Football League clubs. Darren Emmett had been at Bury AFC, and Brian Welsh had been at Burnley under Jimmy Mullen. I had them both with us at Rosendale United, and when they were on the day, them two, you know, they just had this massive understanding, and you know, they just linked up so well together, and obviously the end product was goals and scoring goals, and that's what they did. And I saw that in abundance. It wound the clock back for me, because watching them two, you know, Emerton and Welsh, and then watching watching Tom Greaves and Ben Wharton on Saturday, it really impressed me. Them two really did.
Yeah, I was impressed with the interview after that. Ben did. You know, I wouldn't have expected anything else from him, but I think the interviewer wanted us to talk about the pitch, and Ben Wharton just like closed him down and said, "Listen, you're going to get those pitches at this level, the level above, and the level above that. You just got to play the the pitch as it is." And I thought that was spot on.
Yeah, well, that's right. There was nothing wrong with to be honest, there was nothing wrong with the pitch. That was, I mean, in the past there has been issues with the pitch because it's been heavy and it's been cut up and it weren't conducive. I mean, the only thing that we're probably a little bit which we're going to get now at this time is the fact that it's gone from one extreme to another. It's gone like where it's going to be bobbly, and it's, you know, the ball's going to be lively, you know. But I thought it was a really good game, and I kind of, what disappointed me was that, and I was disappointed more for the lads. They deserved. I wouldn't say they did enough to win the game, but they certainly did more than enough to not lose the game.
Yeah.
And I felt we deserved a point out of the game. And I know that I've took a little bit, because I've come in your defence on this, and I've come to your defence, Steve, because obviously you put two things up on social media. One about the
we just two screenshots, just to kind of just an opinion and just to make it a point, and you know, people have took offence to that and come back with their comments, which everyone's got an opinion.
I get the comment. I get the comment. I mean, I get the comments, because there were things that they've with the quadrant one, they've pinched a bit of ground, a lot of ground basically. Like you say, we're in the corner, it was more of a free kick. So they pinched quite a bit of ground, but there was still a lot for them to do after that. So, and I get the criticism that came back that way, because, and having seen the video after, you know, I've got to question something that happened and what I've seen on the video. And I'm not going to go on the show and again throw the player in question under a bus, but the video's there to see. 1 minute, you know, we've got a player marking Tom Greaves, and marking is marking. It's like, if you're holding and I say this, and you can take it and start laughing, but you do what you want. But I use it a lot in football. I'm not being funny. If you're wanting to stop somebody gaining advantage of you, in other words, you've got to mark them tightly, and you've got to track the run, and you've got to follow them, and you've not got to you've got to not give them an inch. If you give them an inch, they'll take a yard.
Yeah. And
in that situation, and so I look at it this way. So if you're marking somebody tight, so if somebody says to you, "Listen, here's my dog, it's on a lead, don't let it go." If you let that bloody dog go, you know as well as I know, what does it do? It runs off, because it doesn't want to. It wants to get away from you. It runs off
and pulls your arm off.
So you keep hold of that lead. Now, equally, that if we put that into football terms, the person in question, he should have had Greaves on a lead. He should have been making sure he doesn't get away. But the video shows it quite clearly. He checked, he looked, he checked, he looked, he checked, and he's still in the and then he peeled right off, and it was like the body language was as though to say, "Oh, I'm not going in there with him. He's out of danger now."
Yeah, it's not going
no, he weren't out of danger, because when that ball came in, it was like a gazelle, and he pounced into the space and finished.
Correct. That's years of experience just bobbing onto end of that ball.
Correct.
Made it look easy.
So the fact that quadrant tweet went up, you had a point, but I equally know and understand what other people were saying coming back at you.
Yeah.
There was still a lot of work to do after.
Of course there was.
And there was, and they did. And we didn't defend it like we should have defended it. And we got what we deserved in that situation for not being on top of our job. And we conceded the goal. Now then, the other part is that, which has been a debate, is the offside. Now, as you know, that first goal that they got was an equalising goal, so it was all to play for. So the scoreline was 1-1. We're into the second half, and there was not a lot to choose between the two teams. It could have gone either way, and it was always going to hinge on important decisions. I honestly feel, because that's how the game were going.
Yeah,
and they got their noses in front. And again, I'm not trying to criticise the officials here, because there was no reason why the officials could get involved in the goal that they got their noses in front, because from their point of view, Ben Wharton scored a legitimately very, very good goal. And it was, I wouldn't say from our point of view it was a good goal.
No,
it was a bad goal, but he took it well, and he knew exactly where to put that ball through a crowded area and where to put it, and it went in the net. So, but from our point of view, it was a bad goal, because I honestly felt we had enough bodies around Ben Wharton to have defended that, and we didn't defend it. There was a lot of dangling of legs and nothing, no substance, nothing, nobody coming in to just take ball, man, everything else.
No conviction,
no conviction. So, and it ended up in the net where they scored, and they take a 2-1 lead. So there's nothing wrong with that goal. Now, the equaliser, okay, this is open for debate, because, again, it's kind of fine margins. And I've had lots of discussions the last few days with, I think he's called Ruben, who runs the support the referee site on social media. And I've had some good dialogue with him.
Yeah.
And obviously he'll take the side of the officials, but I've got to say, take it from where I'm sat. And when you're a team and you work on things in training, and we just talked about the two strikers for Bury that have got great understanding, and they know an awareness of where they both are with each other in Tom Greaves and Ben Wharton. I honestly believe that we've got the same understanding with kind of our players in kind of Anthony Hall, Alex Mellor, Kyle Siddall, Toby Wright when he's fit and playing. These players, Lewis, Byrne, we've all got the same understanding. They've all got the same understanding, because we do it regularly in training. They know our shape, they know where our players are, and they know where to execute that pass to gain an advantage on the opposition. And I think this is a prime example when Anthony Hall picked that ball up well in his own half. Immediately he picked that ball up. Now, I know what I'm looking for, because I manage the team. Dave Felgate knows what he's looking for, because he coaches the team. Immediately, my eye line doesn't focus on Anthony Hall, because there's a load of space in front of Anthony Hall. My eye line immediately doesn't look at that space in front of Anthony Hall. My eye line looks to the left of Anthony Hall.
So right? who's giving him options?
To see where that run's going to come from, right? Yeah. And we should have a player making that run from the left-hand side. So there's a diag on. So immediately I looked. Immediately before he even played the ball, I looked. When I looked, Kyle Siddall was well onside.
Yeah.
He then makes his run, and he arcs his run to perfection. He comes on. And as he comes on, and he's now obviously attacking the ball, and he's taking the ball on. Now, that ball ended up in the net, and obviously it was ruled out because the line assistant down our side decided to put his flag up. obviously, from a manager's point of view, in a situation where that's something we work on, when it's something I've seen, I looked at it, I watched it. It wasn't even close in my eyes. He was on by a mile, right? Obviously, you're frustrated because, and I'm sure if this goal had gone the other way for the Bury contingent and gone that they had a goal ruled out, especially in their plight when Olka are breathing down their necks, I'm sure they would have been the same mindset as myself and not been happy.
Yeah.
Right? 100%. Right? They would not have been happy. Now, equally, I was not happy because he was 100% onside. Right? Now, then the debate is, and which Rubin from the referees will say, because he's watched the video, but there is no guaranteed score there because the referee, when he blows the whistle, the game stops. So obviously when the flag's gone up, the referee's immediately blown the whistle. So Rubin's argument is...
But that wasn't the point we were trying to make.
No, exactly. That wasn't the point we were making. What we were making is, had that linesman had been doing his job correctly, right, and allowed play to go on, that whistle would never have come.
Correct.
And Bury, in that situation, would have had a lot to do to stop him because that's how we score a lot of our goals.
But my question, Brent, on the day when I put that up there was, why was that whistle blown? Why?
Well, exactly. But listen. The issue people have got when they put comments on social media, it looks like, and I get what people can misconstrue. They think it's official knocking. It's not official knocking, right? But it can come over that way. I don't blame. I thought the referee, in all fairness, the referee had an excellent game. We had him a few weeks before in a top of the table game when I think we had him against Golker. I'm sure we had him against Golker here. Right, and he refereed the game quite well that day, and he refereed this game quite well. So I don't have an issue with the referee. I thought the referee handled the game impeccably. You know, I don't take to this that, you know, he favoured Bury in any way. I don't take to that because I'll give you an instance, right, to start with. You could argue that Carl Siddall probably in the first 7-8 minutes of the game was brought down in the box. You could argue we should have had a penalty. The referee deemed it wasn't a penalty. I'm not here to argue because where I was sat, I couldn't see that clearly. So I don't know whether it was or it wasn't. I'll be honest. Some said it was. Some of our other players who were warming up at the time.
I didn't think it were.
Well, that's exactly what I think. I think it was Daniel Warren came back after doing a warm up, said it wasn't a penalty. So that's fair enough. You know, this is where it is, the balance of opinions, right? Yeah, and the only opinion that matters is the referee. So, but equally, on the flip to that, I thought we got away with them not having a penalty right on half time.
I agree.
Because if you watch that video again, there was a situation where Callum Hewitt is wrong side of his man.
Yeah.
And what he's tried to do, he's tried to get right side of his man, and he's come round near the near post, and he's kind of tried to get a foot in, wrapped it round him from behind him to try and get back.
He's almost climbing on top of the guy.
So that's happened, and then one of our other defenders has come the other way, and if you remember, they all went in a heap on the floor, and there was big shouts for a penalty. Yeah. Now, from where I was in the technical area. And even Dennis Sheriff was sat near me, and Dennis Sheriff's gone, whoa. And we both said the same, that's a penalty. That's a penalty. Yeah. But he didn't give it. Thankfully, he didn't give it. Right? So, again, what I'm trying to say is it swings and roundabouts. So, the referee, I didn't have a problem with. I'm not commenting on the assistant at the top end. I can only comment on the assistant at the bottom end and near us. And that decision, that offside decision, which was clearly onside, was extremely a really, really bad decision. Now, I get what people on social media will say. We're all human. We can all make mistakes. Listen, I'll be the first to admit when there's a mistake made. At Blackpool the week before, and I'll openly say it on here, I had a forced substitution come at me, and I looked to my right and I looked to see my options, and immediately I had split-second decision, and I put a player on. And within 2 minutes of putting that player on, because another player was sat right behind me and he wasn't in my eye line, and I didn't wait. I realised and the pitch, it all come down to what the pitch was like. The pitch was more conducive for the player sat right behind me. And because it was a quick second decision, I put the wrong sub on. And I openly admitted.
And you apologised to the player.
And I apologised to it. And I apologised to the player before any damage was done or anything. It was the wrong decision by me. So we're all human. I admitted it was a wrong decision, and we move on. Now, equally, if we switch that to the assistant, he can make a mistake, and he has made a mistake, right? There's no two ways about it. He made a mistake. Now, where I'm coming from on this, on these games and the games of the magnitude, this is not having a go at the officials at all. I'm right now going to have a bit of a knock of the appointing authorities. Right. I get there is a shortage, but surely, and I've had this out with the Northwest Counties in past time, if the Northwest Counties want to be proud of their competition that they run, and let's remember, the Northwest Counties League's a competition that the clubs in it are either paying contract players, so they're employed, or they're paying players expenses for travelling. So there's a lot at stake.
There's got to be a seriousness about it.
Seriousness about it. In the competition that the Northwest Counties League are operating, managers at clubs also get sacked. Why do they get sacked? Because obviously the stakes are high. Promotion, relegation has a detrimental effect on a club's future, both ways. So if the competition of the Northwest Counties League is like that, and if the competition of the Evo Stick is like the same, and if the competition of the conference is exactly the same, then, in my opinion, the authorities that are appointing, whether there's a shortage or not a shortage, when it comes to the business end of the season, at any level, and it's the same when you come to the FUT Cup finals, you don't put usually the people who get awarded with cup final refereeing at every level are the top end. Are the top end of the scale of officials that are doing, are really improving in their jobs as officials. Yeah. You don't get doing a cup final somebody that's not ready to handle the big game, the big occasion yet. Yeah. Right? That doesn't happen. So my point is now here, prior to this Bury game on Saturday, this was an absolute massive game for not just AFC Bury,
quite a few teams,
not just for Bake Up Boro, but so many teams that weren't involved in that game, like Holker, and even other teams like Nelson, who still got aspirations of making the playoff, and Blackpool and Pilkington. So on appointment, we're now at the business end of the season. So when you're appointing, surely there's got to be some thought that this is what I would class as a grade A game. So if it's a grade A game, it needs grade A officials. Yeah. Right? Now, okay, the referee, no problem, might be a grade A official, and I have no problem with the referee. I have to question whether the assistants were at the top or where they should be. I don't know, because I'm not privy to all where they are in their scales or anything. But my point is, there's the less chance anybody can make mistakes, but there is a less chance of mistakes being made by the more experienced official. Yeah. Less chance. I can take you back to the Bury game at Bury. And again, I don't think that official, but although it was at the start of the season, was one of the better referees, especially when you turn round and you get a report and you get a charge come from the league that the referees put in that Boro did not use a substitutes board.
Yeah.
The simple fact was we didn't make a substitute, so we wouldn't use a substitute board.
Yeah, that went in the report.
But that went in the report, and we had to tell them, the league, where's he coming from with this? We never made a substitute, so there was no substitute board. So the referee got that wrong. You follow me?
Egg on face.
You see where I'm coming from? So that brings me back to the Bury game at our place. Again, I'm not saying that the referee got it wrong or anything wrong. He hasn't. But I have to question the assistant. That's all I am saying. But I also have to question the authorities, because that's that situation. We can't turn the clock back, and there'll be people on social media that'll argue, well, there was no guarantee you'd score that goal or anything else. We can't say that's all this buts or maybes. But the simple fact of the matter is the fact that was chalked off, right? And it prevented us from getting a point because goals change games. That had a detrimental effect, a bigger effect, a knock-on effect on the league table, because it gave Bury AFC a better cushion, because Ulker dropped points.
Yeah.
So I'd Bury a drop points and Ulker drop points. It's game on, still on. You get me? And equally, it involved other clubs. So all I'm saying is, when it comes to the business end of the season, surely you've got grade A games which are important and could have a big importance on the other. And I don't think the appointing authorities, i.e., and from what I'm getting told, and I could be wrong on this, the same person that appoints the referee is not the same person that appoints the assistants. Now, that can't be right either, because surely if you're an appointment of the referee, right, you know the standard, you know the referees, you know what you'd think that they'd appoint the assistants as well.
Well, you would, because what you want to see is, we've seen it a few times where the referees and the assistants have been working absolutely in unison. There's a communication, and sometimes it's good to keep officials, if you can, and assistants together if they're working week out.
I think so, yeah. But I still think, I don't think there is enough at the authority stage in terms of appointments. I just think, we've got a backup Bury AFC Bury game. We'll put him on there. He's available, and his Joe Blogs, Simon Holding available to run line. He's way now.
He only lives round corner.
Yeah, he only lives. There's no thought process goes in, and I think so. So in one hand, they're trying to be professional in kind of operating these leagues and think that they are being professional, but they're not, because it might not. I'm sorry, but the leagues might not appoint. It might be the FA that appoints her, but equally, I'm still using the same process. They're trying to make sure that, we're a professional organisation, but they're not being professional in terms of how the thought process is when they come round to appointments in big games. Yeah, is my point.
I just want to make one more point on this before we move on briefly to what happened in midweek with the Macron. You had an email sent back from the referee, which was, I saw the email because you sent it to me. It was a breath of fresh air. Massive credit to Curtis.
Yeah, I think this is where where there's got to be. I think too many times, and I've seen it even now. Listen, you won't know this, but I've got a bit of an infight going on at the minute, and I have my suspicions who sent this because a post got put up on that email got put up on social media, but it weren't up long before it got whipped off. But I think somebody, and I'm sure it's somebody from the league, because this is what they do. They hide behind the blinking, they hide behind the curtain, and they're trying to be, listen, it's like telling tales, peeping behind curtains, he's doing this and he's doing that.
What are you going to do about that?
They go into the FA behind your back Why do they not come out? Why do they not pick a phone up and speak? This is what I'm saying. Why are people not speaking to people? You know, it's easy to pick a phone up to you and have a conversation with you. It's easy to pick a phone up to me and have a conversation, but they don't. They go behind your back and do things underhanded. I can't handle dirty-handed, underhanded people. I just don't like it. You know, I speak my mind. Call a spade, even to the face or whatever, and move on. Now, I kind of think it's the same when it comes to refereeing. You know, the referees that you can... It's all right for the FA to tell a referee, make sure you contact the club before the game. Make sure you tell them that you're refereeing the game. Make sure you're asking for, you know, be friends with them, and make sure you're asking if there's any problems, you know, where I am, you know, are you having a pitch inspection? Who's going to inspect the pitch? It's all right, I'm telling them to do that. But equally, when there's an incident gone on in the game and you want some transparency and you want to, what's wrong with picking a phone up and speaking to that referee on a one-to-one and getting his feedback? Because you're talking one-to-one as men. Or if it's a lady, it's a lady. I think we might have a lady referee this weekend. So, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. And in this instance with Curtis, you know, he'd already rang me before the game. And I had his number, so I decided to ring him back and have a conversation when I'd seen the video, and I asked him for his comments, and he gave me his comments, and then which was refreshing, and then from giving me his comments, he asked me to send him a clip of the game, and I told him where that clip of the game is. It's on social media. So he went on social media, and then he sent me an email saying he'd seen it, and then he made his further observations. Now, again, I don't see anything wrong with that. Everything that he's put in is exactly right, and you know, he even admitted on this occasion, you know, the lad was clearly onside.
Which is fantastic, yeah,
of course it is, and but nobody's knocking. We just move on. You know, we can't look again. I keep saying it. We can't look through a crystal ball of whether that would have had any further bearing, because there were probably still another 20 minutes to go after that goal. So either side could have scored again. But goals do change games. So listen, we just move on. But I think what's happened is a mountain's been made out of a molehill, in terms of something's gone up on social media saying this is a blatant onside, it's been given us offside, and then people jump on it thinking it's official knocking, and then it just all escalates, which it shouldn't need to. It shouldn't have escalated, and it had no need to. I thought on the day the referee was excellent, and you could speak to him, and even on Tuesday when we arrived at the game at Chadderton, I got a phone call from the guy who appoints the officials, and we had a good chat as well. And he even said to me, you know, I enjoy talking to you, Brent, because listen, however I come across in a game or even on it, you know, I do try and look at both sides and be even, like I did at the referees when I spoke for the referees in Rochdale.
Yeah,
I got as much stick off them as what I was giving them. And there's nothing wrong with that. No. But just on another one before we move on, I've just there's some news that was on the phone here. I've got the local paper. There's some tippets in this paper. You know, even your report's in, Steve.
Is it now?
Even your report's in.
Well, it should be. Yeah.
Well, it is. Have a look
at it. What's it say? What's the headline?
Boro give leaders a run for their money.
I think we did.
So, but let me tell you, there's something that's kind of surprised me a little bit in here. On the tidbits page, it says here that the
not guilty, Your Honour.
The local cricket club have now gone ahead of the cricket season to change the name. It's going to be Gatecrasher. It hasn't gone down really well with a lot of the committee. They wasn't happy, but I'm led to believe that the head bar lady was adamant that this had to happen, so it's now going to be renamed Gatecrasher. Congratulations on that one, and good luck for the season with your cricket. So I just thought to bring that one up.
Yeah, gate crashing a couple of parties along the way. Quality. Yeah. Let's move on to midweek. Because I said it before. I said it a few times. We always have good games against Chadderton. Always, Brent.
Always, yeah. It were a good game. There were nothing in it the other night in the Macron Cup. It could have gone either way. If I've got to be perfectly honest, I'll tell you what I said to the lads at half time. But I blame the pitch for this. Again, we're back to pitches where it's gone from one extreme to the other. I mean, it's bobbly as anything, lively. But I thought that the game lacked, when you've watched us all season and how we can play, and even if you watch the game against Chadderton, especially up here on Baycup's ground, you know, they've got it in the locker as well to play some excellent football. But I thought that the game the other night, whilst it was a close game and it was a good game, and for a 0-0, it was a good game and it could have gone either way. I just thought that it was devalued of the quality. I think both teams have players that have got ooze with quality, but I felt that on the night we didn't show. Neither team showed enough quality at times. You know, I just thought that was missing. I just thought it was one of them games where it was like a nice end of season game. Pitch was lively, it was bouncing up, and but yeah, it was nice to go through. It's never a good way to go out of a competition, and probably not the best way to go through a competition. On penalties, we've had it twice. We got knocked out of the FA Vars
in 1 week. Yeah,
against Withenshaw. Who went on to the quarter-final, and that went out on that ended up on penalties. What we lost on penalties, and it just shows you that and I think even Withenshaw in the FA Vars, even though they got to the quarter-final without taking anything away from that's a great achievement. But I think they had another couple of penalties along the way, where they've gone through, and then we had the Lancashire Challenge Trophy where we got beat on penalties, where we've got beat West Didsbury and Chorlton. By the way, I've got to send them congratulations because they secured their championship of Division 1 South on last night. So that's congratulations to West Didsbury and Chorlton. But we took them, that was another game, we took them to the wire. It went to penalties and we lost on penalties that night. So, but then third time lucky against Chadderton. Credit to the lads, Toby Wright, Ryan Siddall, Danny Warren, who scored the penalties, and absolutely Harry Turner again proves what a good penalty stopper he is. Yeah. Well, what a good goalkeeper he is, not just.
And Callum Hewitt and Michael Gervin will never take a penalty again.
Oh well, listen. I'm not saying that because at the end of the day, these things can happen. I mean,
I know.
Listen, a lot of credit for him. A lot of credit that anybody that steps up and takes a penalty. Massive. Because there is a lot of pressure, and even at our level,
there is. Finally, 4 cup finals coming up in the space of 7 days.
Not all. Listen, Steve, I'm going to give you, as a media man, I have to say this. You look at, only thing that we want to look at is the next game. I'm not interested in all this cup finals in 7 days, right? I look at one game, don't think about the next. One game, we look at Saturday. We'll look at Saturday. After Saturday, we will look at the next game, which is Tuesday. After Tuesday, we will look at the next game, which is Thursday. After Thursday, we'll look at the next game after Saturday. I don't warm to these people. I've had one in here this morning, Simon, as soon as he come in. It's just pressure. Yeah. Well, we need to do this. You need to do that. You need to do that. You need to do that. Do this, do that, do that, do that, and do that, and do that. Bollocks. You know what you've got to do? You go to the next game and you just go and win it. It's simple. That's it. You stop all this blinking. If they do that, he does that. If I do that, they do that. Listen, there's an old saying. If my auntie had balls, she'd be my uncle. Just concentrate on Saturday. See you later.